It's more fun in the Philippines is the slogan for my home country. Filipinos love to joke and perform. We pride ourselves with always making any situation a reason to laugh. Funerals, typhoons, it doesn't matter. As for me personally, according to the Gallup's Strengths Finder, communication is in my top 5. Woo is my top 1. I even got my master's in Christian communications in Asia Pacific Nazarene Theological Seminary in Manila, Philippines. Almost every week I was preaching at different churches, camps, and retreats all over the country. But when I became a missionary in Southeast Asia, I suddenly realized that what made me effective in the Philippines no longer worked. Why is it that communicators that were successful at home often find it difficult to communicate in a different context? It could be that some of the skills that are effective in one country may not be effective in another. Another factor could be overconfidence. When you know you are very good at doing something a specific way, it is more difficult to adapt when placed in a different situation. One thing we found was that we became ineffective communicators because our expectations were different. For example, we were working with a people group from a creative access area. The only leadership style their modern culture knew was dictatorship. They were used to communication a one-way street, and it often sounded like, do this, don't question. So when we were leading this group, we tried to give them freedom to make choices and contextualize the materials. It wasn't until much later that they confessed that what we thought was delegation, they had viewed as abandonment. It was one of the biggest learning opportunities for us in terms of leading and communicating cross-culturally.
We must understand and clearly communicate expectations. Some things may be obvious to us, but is not obvious for others. We may be serving in another culture where something is common sense for them, but completely unknown for us. Soccer is the most famous, most popular sport in the world. If a player breaks the rules, the referee can issue a yellow card or a red card. A yellow card is a warning, 2 yellow cards, and the player must leave for the remainder of the game. But 1 red card is an immediate removal of the player. When we interact with a culture as foreigners, we are given a few yellow cards, and in very rare cases, a red card or 2. No matter where we are, people will look at you and give an assumption, some sort of expectation of who you are and what that may mean for them. There's a preconceived idea of who you are before you even say a word. And the more you talk, the more expectations come. And some of these expectations may not always be beneficial. One time, I was co-teaching a class for a Bible school in the Philippines. And I had an older male student from an Asian nation, not the Philippines. I'm not going to name that nation. He would not believe a word I said. Whenever it was my turn to teach, he would purposely turn away and ignore me. Unless my co-teacher said, "She's right," the student would question me and the material. Based on this student's culture, he had many yellow cards against me. I was a female. I was younger than him. I was from America, and our countries had been in war when he was younger. Even Jesus was faced with some yellow cards in his ministry from his own people. You have heard it. Nazareth? Can anything good come from Nazareth? This is because for ancient Jews, Nazareth did not have a good reputation at that time. What are some yellow cards you may have for your own context? Are there expectations that people from your own nation may have about you? For example, I am from Florida, and for many Americans, many expectations come to mind. Some people might think Disney, tropical beaches, hurricanes, crazy people. It's true. Now, imagine for people outside your nation. Their expectations of you is going to be either very broad or very limited. Everything they may know about you may come from movies, the news, history books, their history books. People always ask me if I miss the snow or I shouldn't complain about the cold weather because I'm an American. I am from Florida. Pull up a map, Terrence. Show where Florida is. We are tropical. I don't know anything about snow. Not only are there expectations on how we are like, but also they have expectations on how we should act. It's interesting because they expect the surface to be different, blonde, blue-eyed, dark skin, whatever, but they expect the inside to be the same as them. They won't question the way you look and dress, but they will wonder why you aren't slurping your noodles loudly, why you eat with your hands, why you use your left hand to receive a gift, why you don't kiss your mother when you see her. Why are you letting your wife speak for you? Why you aren't saying sir and ma'am? Why are you using informal language with your boss? Oh my gosh, how rude of that person. Yellow card, red card, whatever. So how do we stop these kinds of expectations? Here it is. Communication. Clear communication. If you see something, say something. Ask questions. If something is bothering you and it doesn't seem to be bothering anyone else, then clarify. Is this okay? Is the way they're acting, is this okay? Communicate. Don't be embarrassed because it's likely that they don't even realize that what is normal for them is abnormal for you. It's like both of you are wearing colored glasses, right? That makes you see the world in a one specific color. So what's red for you is blue for them. And our job is to learn how to take off those glasses and see the world for how it really is. But we can't do that unless we communicate.
This also requires you to have a safe person to talk with. Someone who will be honest with you, saying, yes, this is rude. No, don't do this. Some cultures will be too shy to tell you that something is not okay. This is why finding a safe person is so important. Don't only find a safe local, but find a safe foreigner who has lived in the country for a long time. A warning though, it is not the job of your target culture to adapt to your expectations. It is your job as a cross-cultural communicator to adapt to theirs. You can compromise. Maybe you can negotiate, but do not demand your cultural expectations on others unless there is something unbiblical or does not coincide with Nazarene values. You cannot demand a woman leader to stay at home and be a good wife to her husband. But maybe you should speak up against beating up street children, with grace and guidance from the Holy Spirit. And I know we say this a lot, but it's okay to mess up. You have grown up with your own expectations. Your target culture has their own expectations. Sometimes it matches, sometimes it doesn't. We learn. We live. Hopefully, we laugh at the end. No one is trying to offend you, and you aren't trying to offend others. Just remember one thing, everyone is doing the best they can with the information they have.